I never believed in the supernatural. I always thought myths and ghost stories were just people's way of explaining the unexplainable. That was until I spent 3 nights alone in the Grand Canyon. What happened there changed me forever. It was supposed to be a simple backpacking trip. I had always wanted to hike the Grand Canyon alone, to disconnect from the noise of the world. I packed enough supplies for a few days, mapped out my route carefully, and set off into the canyon just as the sun was setting. The descent was mesmerizing. The towering red cliffs, the golden light reflecting off the canyon walls, and the endless silence. There was something humbling about it. By the time I reached my first campsite, the sky had turned an inky black, revealing an overwhelming sea of stars. I set up my tent, made a small fire, and let the exhaustion of the day lull me into a deep sleep. Sometime past midnight, I woke up suddenly. The fire had nearly burned out, leaving only faint embers glowing in the darkness. Then, I heard it, a whisper. It wasn't the wind, it wasn't an animal. It was low, deliberate, just outside my tent. I sat up, frozen. My heart pounded as I strained to listen. The whispering stopped, but I could feel it, like something or someone was there. Slowly, I unzipped my tent and peeked outside. The canyon was still. The only movement was the flickering embers of my fire. There was no one there. Telling myself it was just my imagination, I forced myself to lie back down, but I barely slept. The next morning, I tried to shake off the uneasy feeling from the night before. I packed up my camp and continued my hike deeper into the canyon. By midday, I reached a stretch of trail that felt wrong. The air was heavy, thick with silence. Even the usual sounds of nature, birds, insects, were missing. That's when I saw them. Footprints. Not just any footprints, barefoot prints, deep in the dirt. They looked fresh, as if someone had just passed through. I followed them for a while, trying to make sense of them, but after about 100 feet, they just stopped. The prints ended abruptly in the middle of the trail. No sign of where the person had gone. No side paths, no disturbances in the bushes. It was as if they had just vanished. A cold dread crept over me. I wasn't alone. I set up camp near a cluster of large boulders, hoping they would make me feel safer. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the uneasy feeling returned. I kept my fire burning longer this time, determined to stay awake. The wind howled through the canyon, but beneath it, I thought I heard something else. A rustling, a shuffle of movement in the rocks. My pulse quickened. Slowly, I grabbed my flashlight and aimed it toward the boulders. That's when I saw it, a shadow, tall, thin, standing just behind one of the rocks. I froze, gripping the flashlight so tightly my knuckles turned white. My breath hitched as the shadow moved. It stepped out from behind the boulder. I shined the light directly on it, but there was nothing there. The beam illuminated only the bare rock. The shadow had been real. I had seen it move, but now it was gone. I didn't sleep that night. I hiked faster the next morning, eager to get away from that cursed spot. The canyon seemed darker, the cliffs taller, pressing in on me. Then I heard it, a voice. It came from ahead of me, faint and distant. It echoed through the canyon walls, carried by the wind. "Help me!" I stopped in my tracks. My blood ran cold. It was a woman's voice, software, weak, almost pleading. I turned my head, scanning the canyon, but saw nothing. Then the voice came again. Closer. "Please, help me." I spun around, flashlight raised, but the canyon was empty. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but something deep inside me, a primal, ancient fear, told me that if I acknowledged the voice, if I spoke back, it would know I was listening. So I didn't. I didn't say a word. I just turned and walked as fast as I could without looking back. I reached my last campsite before exiting the canyon. I was exhausted but refused to let myself sleep. Around 2 a.m., the whispering returned. This time, it was louder. I could hear multiple voices, soft, murmuring, right outside my tent. Then, a long, slow dragging sound, It circled my tent. A shadow passed in front of the fabric. Something was standing there. I gripped my knife, heart pounding. My breath was shallow, my body frozen in terror. Then, as suddenly as it started, it stopped. Silence. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Nothing. I waited until dawn before daring to move. When I finally unzipped my tent and stepped outside, the ground around my tent was covered in footprints, dozens of them, barefoot, circling me. But there was one more thing. Carved into the dirt, directly in front of my tent, were 3 words: "Don't come back." I never spoke about what happened to me at the Grand Canyon. Not until now. Was it my imagination? A cruel prank? Or something much older, much darker than I could ever understand? All I know is I will never go back. And if you ever find yourself alone in the canyon and you hear a whisper in the night, don't listen.